Hey folks, this is Yuri Karasawa with Japan Ball. We've finished the first month of the 2025 Nippon professional baseball season, so let's talk about some of the top performers. But before we begin, make sure to follow me at Yaku Cosmo on X for daily NPB news, highlights, and analysis, and also subscribe to my weekly Japan Ball newsletter. All right, so we'll go over some different stat leaders here, both basic and advanced. Here's the traditional triple crown for hitters: batting average, home runs, RBI. Ryo Ota of Orix leads NPB at 400, a clean 44-100. He's also slugging .540 with an OPS north of 1,000, so huge breakout season for the 24-year-old second baseman. We already saw a glimpse of this last year, but Ota is really looking like one of the best players in the league right now. SoftBank's Ukyo Shuto is second at 345. We all know the kind of impact this guy can make on the base paths with his speed. Has 6 steals already. The defense in center field is excellent, but seeing him actually produce at the plate is making him a really nice table setter there at the top of the Hawks order, which is important with all the other injuries that team has. Kaito Kozono of Hiroshima is in third at 333, the Central League leader right now, taking a big step forward this year to become, really the centerpiece of that Carp offense, despite the lack of power they have, kind of just stringing together a lot of rallies, and Kozono is right in the middle of that. Teruaki Sato and Kazuma Okamoto are duking it out for the home run title. Of course, Munetaka Murakami and Tyler Austin, 2 other guys that you would usually expect to see there, currently hurt. But the 2 big boppers on the 2 rival teams there in Hanshin and Yomiuri leading the way with 8 and 7 respectively. Over in the Pacific League, Orix's Yumatangu and Nippon Ham's Chusei Manami are tied with 5 apiece. Home runs are still very hard to come by in NPB with these dead balls and just how far ahead the pitching talent seems to be these days, but those who have pop can obviously still very much hit the ball over the fence. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of them can reach the 40 mark this year. Okamoto and Sato currently are on pace to do so. RBI, similar story, except Okamoto leads here with 23, Sato right behind him with 22. Keita Nakagawa is the PL leader. I feel like Nakagawa has had a lot of clutch moments already. He's actually top 3 in win probability added as well, so makes sense. Shota Suikane of Hiroshima and Shugo Maki of DNA also in the top 5 here for RBI. Maki has been kind of a one-man army at times for the Bay Stars this year, and even his own numbers are a bit down from where they're usually at. Tyler Austin and Toshiro Miyazaki being injured is really kind of hurting that entire flow of the DNA offense, which, 2 years ago, we saw that they were not really performing up to par. Last year, especially in the playoffs, we saw the Bay Stars at full strength. This lineup can be pretty hot or cold, but we know at full strength that it can be very special. Masaki Mimori and Ryuki Watarai have been pretty good. So, once Austin and Miyazaki return and then Maki gets back to his usual level, I do think we're going to see the defending champs start to take off. Looking at OPS plus, that's weighted park adjusted OPS. 100 is always league average. Okamoto and Ota are the only 2 guys still OPSing over 1,000. 226 and 216 OPS plus respectively. I mean, that is elite. Ota's success has been quite BABIP driven. He has a BABIP over 500, which is by far the best in NPB. That's not sustainable, despite the fact that he is crushing the ball. So, he's going to have a higher BABIP overall, but he has had some batted ball luck. So there's going to be some regression. Okamoto, on the other hand, right now just looks like the best hitter in NPB, period. Strikeout rate is at a career best. He's walking a good amount and obviously showing off that elite pop. Second behind Sato with a 311 isolated power. His approach when it comes to consistently making hard contact, barreling pitches, and pulling fly balls is really quite unmatched. This guy just understands the kind of swing that's conducive for power, even with the dead balls. And if Okamoto does end up going to MLB maybe next year or the year after, I think you're going to see this guy have the kind of success that, maybe Seiya Suzuki showed early in his MLB career. Hideto Asamura currently 4th in OPS plus, big bounce back for him after what was a pretty disappointing 2024. Just hit his 300th career bomb last week, and he's been a major part of this recent Rakuten hot streak that's propelled them from the very bottom of the standings to actually having a winning record. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And, he's not the same guy he was maybe 4 or 5 years ago when he was a perennial 30-plus homer guy with like the highest walk rate in the league, one of the most feared hitters. But he still has a very advanced approach even at this age and still clearly has pop. Yutaro Sugimoto and Yuma Tongu also doing very well for Oryx, which is a good sign. Carried a bit by that super hot start from the first 2 weeks, but they're still a big part of why the Buffaloes have gone from having, one of the worst offenses in the league to having the number one lineup right now. Ota, Sugimoto, Tongu, Roma Nishikawa, and they've done all this with Tomoya Mori, their superstar, injured. He's going to be coming back soon. So yeah, Oryx is pretty scary this year, not just with the pitching as usual, but the lineup as well. Koji Chikamoto finds himself in the top 10, just doing his thing for Hanshin as usual, not striking out, feisty ABs there in the leadoff spot, and letting his speed shine through. He has 6 steals. And then even activating the power some more, slugging 465 so far. His career average slug is 400. And yeah, right now he's an MVP candidate if Hanshin wins the pennant. I thought he personally deserved it 2 years ago. He was like a 7-8 WAR player then. And it ended up going to the pitcher, Shoki Murakami. But yeah, I do hope Chikamoto gets recognized more here in his prime. Just such a well-rounded, dynamic player. All right, moving on to the pitching, traditional Triple Crown stats, wins, ERA, strikeouts. I won't spend too much time on wins because it doesn't really tell you much, but Shoki Murakami, Takahiro Matsuba, and Chihiro Sumida each have 4 Ws. Murakami very much back to 2023 form as opposed to 2024 form. The new slider that he's added has been huge for him. And he's using that split finger / changeup incredibly effectively, looking like the ace of that staff again. Matsuba is a real soft tosser. I mean, not more than like 84 miles per hour on any pitch, but, good kind of sinker ball guy. His success isn't sustainable, I would say, but doing a great job stepping up for Chunichi while, Hiroto Takahashi, their ace, is kind of struggling. Others like Kodai Umetsu is hurt. And then their top prospect, Yumeto Kanemaru, yet to debut. The guy you would least expect is Matsuba there, leading the rotation right now. And then Sumida, I mean, my goodness, he looks unhittable right now. See him leading the PL there with a 0.58 ERA. One of my favorite pitchers to watch overall. Just a disgusting 1-2 punch right now with Tatsuya Imai at the top of that Lions rotation. Others on the ERA leaderboard, obviously Iori Yamasaki, no runs yet across 28 innings. 26-3 strikeout to walk ratio as well. He's throwing a revamped, harder splitter this year, which is really more of a splinker, kind of that, splitter sinker hybrid. And it's working wonders for him. It's his most used pitch by far. He can use it early in counts. He can use it as a put away. He can get grounders with it. Just a lethal weapon. It pairs really well with that standard 2-seam and cutter as well. So yeah, I mean, Yamasaki a couple years ago was a top prospect and he had a good rookie season. Then he kind of fell back down to earth a little bit, but here in 2025 looking really special. And while I would say this current version of him isn't exactly sustainable, I think Yamasaki can definitely still compete for the ERA title in the long run. And that's just so important for Yomiuri since neither Shosei Togo or Foster Griffin are at 100% right now. The aforementioned Sumida and Imai are looking awesome. Sub-1 ERA for them as well. Both elite in their own ways. Stylistically so different. Sumida from the left side, not a big fastball, but tough angle to pick up on for hitters. And then that changeup splitter combo, the splitter throwing a bit harder, and then the changeup mostly to righties. It just has guys swinging out of their shoes. Imai from the right side is pure fastball slider, 95 plus mile per hour heater, tight slider off of it that tunnels perfectly. You might have him, give up a homer every now and then, but you're just never going to really string a rally off him unless he starts to walk guys. He can sometimes be his own worst enemy with the command, but it's actually been quite good this year. 8 no-hit innings a few weeks ago in that combined no-hitter that Seibu threw. Contender for best pitcher in NPB right now, period. Katsuki Azuma and Anthony Kay have been money for DNA. Both southpaws, but again, quite different styles. Azuma is that command specialist, best quality start rate in NPB going back to 2023, wide mix, gets a lot of looking strikes, soft contact merchant. And then K, he throws hard, lots of cutters and sliders as well. And they're obviously both very effective in their own ways. Alan Curry, also shout out to him sneaking into the top 10 there for ERA. Oryx, has always found a way to elevate guys when they get their hands on them. And, Curry coming over from Hiroshima, everyone knows that changeup or split change, whatever you want to call it, that's his best pitch. So what is Oryx having him do? Cut the four-seam usage in half. That's not a good pitch. Replace it with more sinkers and cutters, and then just spam that changeup over 40% of the time. And so far, it is working. The strikeout race is going to be super fun to follow all year. Imai won it last year. He wants to get to 200 Ks this year, and he may very well do it. But Hiromi Ito, Chihiro Sumida, Hiroya Miyagi, Haruto Inoue, Levan Moinello, Takahisa Hayakawa, so many guys that are going to give him a run for his money. It's going to be really tight. And then speaking of strikeouts, if we extend this to strikeout rate minus walk rate, K minus BB percent, great metric that correlates to future success, we see Ito leads the way at 25.7%. The K rate alone is over 30%, which is obviously elite. His ERA is a bit high right now because he got roughed up by SoftBank in his first start. And he has given up some homers since then. A little bit, kind of fly ball prone at times. But I think the stuff is just even more electric than we've ever seen before. He's added a tick to the fastball, sitting 93 to 94. That's when he's at his best. He's added a kick change, throwing more vertical sliders, death balls, whatever you want to call it. Ito right now is, probably a top 5 pitcher in all of NPB. Levan Moinello is second, looking good in his second season as a starter. Velo up a tick, almost looking as dominant as he did back when he was a reliever. Haruto Inoue of Yomiuri coming off a 14 strikeout performance. So we talked about, how big that Yamasaki's been for the Giants, but Inoue as well. I mean, that's really been the 1-2 punch there. One of the most dominant games we've seen in recent years there. 14 strikeouts, 20 whiffs in 8 innings, no walks either. So Roki Sasaki and Shota Imanaga, the last two to throw a 14-plus game, and now Inoue has done the same. He's also number 1 in CSW percent, which bodes very well for the youngster. And then you see some other studs like Miyagi and Hayakawa in the top 10 as well. Sumida actually leads in FIP minus. Then finishing up with saves, it is Suguru Iwazaki of Hanshin and Shinya Matsuyama of Chunichi tied with 9 apiece. Matsuyama, of course, replacing Rydell Martinez, who signed with Yomiuri this past offseason, and he has 8. Then you have to go down all the way to 5 saves with Andres Machado, Takahiro Norimoto, and Kaima Taira. I think the Central League teams definitely do have more stability in the 9th inning overall. A lot of the PL teams kind of all over the place when it comes to that. But Iwazaki and Matsuyama, Martinez, those guys are looking like they're going to be duking it out for the saves title. Obviously, still very early. A lot can change, but a lot of positive things going on for all of these guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more NPB content in English.